So, Zaxers,
Yes.
I have something great for you today.
Oh, goody.
And by great, I mean terrible.
Oh, okay.
um, a movie called The Fifth Wave.
Oh, right.
Have you heard of it?
Yes. Fun
Okay.
story. Started watching it with you, fell asleep.
Oh, yes, that's right. Okay. So, up to a point.
Honestly, I just remember nothing.
Okay.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, you might remember some of it once I start telling you.
Okay.
Um, because I sure did when I watched it the second time, and boy, was it boring. Um, It is based on a young adult series. Um, I don't know what the name of the series is because I think this is like one book called The Fifth Wave. Do you know?
Oh, The Fifth Wave is the first book of the trilogy.
Oh, okay.
Second is called The Infinite Sea, and the third is called The Last Star.
Those are all terrible names. Okay. Um,
Yay!
so we start in media res with our main character. I can't remember her name. I think it's on
Chloe Grace Moretz, right?
Cassie.
Oh,
It's
okay, that's her.
Cassie.
Okay.
You were close.
Yeah.
Um, it's post-apocalyptic setting. She's walking into a convenience store that's been ransacked already in, typical post-apocalyptic fashion. And she finds a man in the store and he's injured. And they don't trust each other, of course. So she's pointing her gun at him and he's pointing his gun at her. And oh, what's gonna happen? She tells him to drop his gun, and he does because he's, I guess, in the more vulnerable position. And then he's like has one of his hands covered in his jacket, and she's like, "Oh, let me see your other hand," because I guess he would have had two guns for some reason. Um, and so he's like, "Oh, if I move my other hand, I'm gonna die from my injury." And she's just like, "Oh, let me see your other hand. I'm hardcore. This world made me this way." Um, so he starts pulling out his hand, and there's this Gran Torino moment that they put in the beginning of the movie for some reason instead of the end, like Gran Torino did.
Yeah.
She sees a glint of silver and shoots right away. Oh, but it was just a cross. Oh no, you
Oh.
killed someone who was injured.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst. Whenever now she has to live with that on her
She has to live with
conscience.
that. And she's only like 16. So I think
Poor.
she even monologues in the beginning. The little voiceover says something about, "Oh, I wonder what the old Cassie would think of me now that I've become a killer."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a great line. That's so. Oh gosh, that's the makings of a real action hero right there.
It really is. Um, so that's the first scene,
Okay.
and then it flashes back to her life in high school. I guess she's at a party, um, and I mean they're in high school, but it's like the stereotypical crazy high school parties,
Mm-hmm.
and her crush is there, and she's flirting with him with terrible banter, as you do.
Is it like Gilmore Girls sort of banter that shows movies always try to recreate,
I
or is
have
it
no
like
idea. I've
uh,
never seen one episode of Gilmore Girls.
oh, okay. Well, is it like the whole I talk really fast, you talk really fast, we still get each other kind of
Oh,
banter, or is it like the reality TV? So sup? Okay, we're in
yeah,
love.
yeah, it's definitely more like it's like the writers are adults trying to write teenage banter is what it's like. This is totally how teenagers talk. Um, they have a scene where she's like, "Oh, I like your pink phone case. Like, that's weird for you to have, I guess." And he says, "Oh, it's my sister's. I dropped her off at a slumber party, and I accidentally took her phone, which I don't know how that happens. How did they switch phones?
Yeah,
And then why would you just leave it? Why would you just be like, guess I'm just using her phone now?"
yeah, especially just because, like, that's not even a statement like, oh, people are too attached to their phones or whatever, but like, I use my phone all the time. I feel like dropping my sister off on the walk to the car, I would have noticed the goof.
Right. Like, and it's not even like they switched. They switched so he could have easily just gotten it back from her. It's such a weird detail.
That's also kind of annoying for her parents. Like, if they have to, like, get her home early from the sleepover, they'll, like, accidentally call their son, and then that's just, that's just rude, honestly, at that point.
Yeah,
Nobody's
and
gonna
then
be
he's
talking to the right person.
he's just like, "Oh, my phone case is much cooler than this one." And then she just holds up her phone and goes, "Polka dots." She has like a Kate Spade case. And that's like the whole scene, and then he just walks away. And so I guess that establishes that she likes him. I don't know. Um she goes home and like checks in with her dad. It's just like thumbs up, I'm okay. And then she goes to tuck in her little brother for some reason. Um,
Oh.
I just find that dynamic confusing. I don't know. Maybe it's because like I'm really close in age group to my siblings,
Mm.
so it's not like
Yeah, how far apart are they?
um so she's like 16 and it's unclear how old he is exactly, but it's implied that he's like pretty little because he carries around a stuffed bear. So he looks like he could be like 10, but I feel like that's too old to be like, oh, my bear, as like a comfort item.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think people just tuck everybody in. I don't know.
But he's already in bed. Like, I don't get that.
Oh!
Yeah, because she was at a party. She got home late and she just like goes in and he's already asleep. And it's not like
Oh.
she's like wistfully looking in the doorway or anything. She like walks up to the bed and pulls the cover more over
Oh.
him.
Oh,
It's so
okay.
strange.
I like at first I was like, oh no, that's a normal thing people do. And then I was like, okay, rude. If you
It's
woke
not.
him up, like, he was
Yeah, and then
fine.
he wakes up, yeah. And then he just goes, "Can you sing me a song?" And she sings this really weird song for, I guess, a lullaby. Um, and it's just, I don't know why you would sing this song for a lullaby. It's actually a song by Coldplay, which I guess is like I don't know, it wasn't like in the credits or anything, so I don't even know why they included it in the movie. It's called Beautiful World, Don't Panic, and it's by Coldplay. Um,
Oh.
I don't know, it's just such a weird thing to include because it's not like Hunger Games where she sings the I don't know what song it is that she
Yeah.
sings in. You know what I'm talking about though?
Yeah. The song that's like, it's like a plot point of whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's just like, oh, this is I mean, they try to make it a plot point, but it didn't. So the she just sings like the first verse. Bones sinking like stones, all that we fought for, homes, places we've grown, all of us are done for. What an inappropriate song
Yeah,
to sing to a
I
child for a lullaby.
that's so funny. I was wondering what the song was because the title sounds like uplifting, kind of. So, like,
Hmm.
if you sing to your kid, like, what a wonderful world or whatever, that's like
Yeah.
normal. But, like, that lyric just there, it's like, okay, now go to sleep, Johnny.
Good night.
Everyone's dead.
Yeah,
That's.
it's like foreshadowing because nothing's happened yet at this point because we flash back. It's like foreshadowing in the worst way.
Did he look at ease hearing the song?
Yeah, he went to sleep, I guess.
Okay.
The scene changes, so
I mean,
I assume.
I guess he doesn't care too much about his lyrical consumption. but
Yeah, I guess not.
he's fine. Okay.
Okay, so after that strange scene, it changes. Now they're in high school. The crush that she was talking to at the party is a football player, and she's a soccer player, and they're both on the field at the same time,
Oh.
which is weird. Like, it doesn't show them both practicing at the same time, but the football players are in like full gear on the field, and
Oh.
the girls soccer players are also, they're like practicing kicking. It's so strange.
Yeah, that is weird.
And then for some reason, somehow, her friend has her phone at practice, like while they're on the field. Which, the reason I find that odd, I don't know how familiar you are with like soccer uniforms or just athletic uniforms in general. They don't have pockets. So I'm like, where are you keeping your phone? And I guess some people could be like, oh, it's in her bra, but that is weird too.
Especially if you're
For
playing soccer. Like, yeah,
right.
I mean, yeah. I know I just said that I bring my phone everywhere, but if I was like playing a sport, I mean, I could set it down for that at least.
And yeah, I mean, this is,
Yeah.
I didn't do like traditional sports, I guess, but I was
Hmm.
in like dance and marching band, which are very active things.
Coaches
And
are pretty like strict about that sort of thing, right?
yeah, there's just no way that you would, one, be able to like get it onto the field in the first place, or
Yeah.
and two, like you'd have nowhere to put it. Anyway,
Yeah.
she has her phone. She's looking at it in the middle of their drills. They're like standing in line waiting to kick the soccer ball into the goal. And she's like, "Oh, Cassie, look at this. It's something weird." But they don't say what it is. And then the coach is like, "What are you doing with your phone?" Understandably. And she goes, "No, no, but look, this is so weird." And he goes, "No, get off the field. Go home. What are you doing?" And so he kicks her out of practice, and it's like, "Oh, but it was something important." And then that's the end of that scene. I guess they just had to establish that I don't even really, I'm not even sure why they put that scene in there, to be honest.
Yeah, so is it just gonna go right back to like present day apocalypse or whatever?
Mm-mm. Mm.
Oh.
No, the story actually goes chronologically from here and catches up to that scene.
Oh. That's like a
So,
lot. I mean, I guess that's interesting because, like, on one hand, I can see, like, oh, I want to know what she's missing, like, or what she's working towards, I guess. But at the same time, it's also like, eh.
but it's like, I guess the only reason to start in media res in
Mm,
this case is to hook the audience. But I'm like, I'm not, what? I don't know. It's
yeah.
not grabbing. It's not attention grabbing.
Yeah, it's
I'd rather just
not.
start from the beginning and like have the anticipation of, oh, when is, I know something's gonna happen because I've seen the trailers. When is it
Yeah.
gonna happen? Instead of starting in media res. But
But also, it's like, take the lead character, take anyone in, if it's just the country or the whole world, whoever it is, you can figure what they're doing. I don't need their slice of life. I can figure, yeah, she's 16 year old. There's probably a guy she likes. She looks athletic. She probably played something, maybe, I don't know. Like
which,
it,
by the way, the fact that she played soccer and he played football never brought up again. It's not like, oh, I'm really good at surviving because I'm athletic. It was just like weird detail. Why
did
not?
did they maybe have a cute little argument over like which football was the real football?
No, they didn't even interact in that scene. It was like it showed him, and then she walked past him with her friend, and that was it. Um, I guess it was just to
That's
establish that like something weird is going on. You'll find
wow.
out more later.
Wow, that is a story of for the ages. Okay.
So the next scene change. They're at home watching the news, Cassie and her family, mom, dad, little brother. Um, on the news, it's like, oh, there's a strange object in the sky, and it's right over Ohio, which is where they live. So
Oh
the
yeah.
little brother, yeah, of course. The little brother runs outside. I want to see, which I don't know. Maybe they could tell from the news footage, but if they're like, there's an object in the sky that's right over a state, I'm not like, oh, we can probably see it from where we are.
I mean, maybe if you're like a dumb kid, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But his whole family is like, no,
Oh.
no, Sam, come back. Don't go out there.
Oh, well.
So the entire family follows him outside. And oh, surprise, it's a spaceship.
Oh
Which,
my gosh.
thinking about it, I don't think the spaceship would be large enough to be able to be seen like throughout the entire state. So they just happen to be like in the right place in the state to see it.
Yeah.
And then there's narration over. They're just all out there standing and looking at it, and then the voiceover says that the humans decided to call them the others, which I'm not even really sure how they how they found out that there were other like people or aliens or whatever on these ships, because they could have just been drones, or like I don't know what, they didn't really explain any of that.
Yeah, that definitely. I don't know how anyone makes these decisions anyway. Like, in all these sci fi shows, the news report is always like, and they established that this is how it's gonna be now. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Also, the others is such a lame name. Like,
Yeah.
even if you said something like visitors, maybe I don't know, but like the
Or
others,
I don't know, just like probably the most common one, which would probably happen logically, is aliens.
yeah, I don't know why that's out of style. I guess
The aliens.
that's too cliche for this piece.
I guess so, for this young adult cliche movie.
Yeah, that's where they draw the line.
I mean, the others isn't. Yeah, it's just this cliche. Okay, so that's the end of that scene.
Okay.
I think you'll notice a common theme is that all of the scenes between scene changes are really short.
And nothing happens.
And pretty much nothing happens.
Yeah. I'm catching up.
It's like they get one major theme across, and then they're like, all right, well, we got that point across. We can go on to the next scene now.
Yeah.
So she's back at school. Who knows what day it is? I don't know if it's the next day. I don't know if it's like a week. I don't know. She's just back at school. And there's like 4 people in her class, and the teacher is like, comments on how few students there are. I don't know what she says exactly. And then, oh no, all of a sudden the lights go off, and everyone's like, what? And then they hear something outside that causes them to look out the window, and they see a plane fall out of the sky. Pretty close to their window, too. It was, I mean, close enough that they saw the explosion from when it hit the ground. The explanation for it is that an electromagnetic pulse that the others sent out is what caused, like, no electricity. Their phones stopped working. That's what caused the plane to fall out of the sky for some reason. Vehicles no longer work because of this electromagnetic pulse. So no technology.
Oh.
Why not?
Okay.
So after that happens, they, I guess, evacuate all of the students to the gym so that their parents can come and pick them up. And so she gets picked up. Okay, her crush's name is Ben. She is just like, oh, I don't know what happened to Ben. He's probably dead, just like everyone else in that room. Which I don't know why she assumed as soon as she left the building exploded. Like, why do you assume that?
Oh, yeah. That is weird.
Just because you haven't seen anyone else doesn't mean they're dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was weird.
Yeah.
And it was so, like, nonchalant, too. It was like, oh, this is my crush. Oh, I don't know what happened to Ben. He's probably dead. He's probably dead.
I mean, I guess if it's the end of the world, I guess maybe that's where you jump to. I don't know.
I guess.
Like,
I don't know.
mean, also, like, all the kids gathered in the gym. Imagine he was like right at the bleachers. He like even waved or whatever, and she's like, "He's dead."
Okay, so that was that
Oh,
scene change.
good. Glad we established all
Um,
that good stuff.
yeah, gotta establish that there's no technology. So she's walking with her brother in the forest, collecting quote unquote fresh water because the water that she filled, it, or like the water bottle that she filled, was from a lake, I think. It
Oh.
looked like still water. So, um, but the whole point of the scene, I guess, is that she's narrating about um, the waves. So the first wave was just them like showing up.
Hmm.
Um, and then the second wave is an earthquake, I guess. They're like, oh, it's an earthquake. So they climb a tree, which I don't know if you're supposed to do that in an earthquake. I think if you're outside, is there really. I don't know anything about earthquakes because we don't have them here.
Well, as a resident Californian,
Yes.
you know, I guess like you would. I don't know what you do when you're outside because the only earthquakes I ever had were like in the classroom. So like. If the woods were in her house, I would be like, "Oh, okay, go stand under a door frame or get
In
under
the
a
doorway,
table,
right?
a doorway." Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, actually, I don't know. That's scary. I hope there's never an
Because
earthquake while
isn't.
I'm outside.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, I know the general gist of how earthquakes work, but
Yeah.
like, is the main issue with them buildings? Like, buildings collapsing?
You
Because
know,
if it's just like gets a little shaky and you're outside, like, you should be fine, right?
yeah, I mean, yeah, because, like, if it goes through the fault line, so, like, if there was an earthquake in the middle of, like, their forest, I guess there'd be potential, like, roots draw, like, could come up from the ground.
But also, here's the thing it's not like a natural earthquake because they're in Ohio. I don't think there's a fault line running through Ohio, right?
Oh, yeah, they'll be fine.
It's like an earthquake that the others caused. So who knows what that even is? I don't know.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
oh, I was just gonna say, like, even here, like, there, like, are still some, like, aftershock from the big Northridge one. And
Hmm.
people are always like, oh, that was big. And then we find out it was, like, a 3.0. But there have been some earthquakes where you just feel like, just stand still and, like, wobble a little bit. And
Yeah.
that's, like, the earthquake. So that's
Yeah.
what I picture would happen in the woods. I think they're safe.
Well, okay, so their solution is to climb a tree. So I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do or but
I mean, that sounds like a bad move, but I don't
yeah.
know. Fine, they can climb a dumb tree. I don't care. Like,
So they climb a tree to escape the earthquake, and then I guess they hear rushing water because they just like
oh.
look into the forest, and all of a sudden this huge like wave of CGI water pours out of the trees,
Oh no.
and they're like, "Oh no, this computer generated water."
Ah.
Um, and they climb higher into the tree. At this point, it's all been in her point of view. So everything that we see happen is she's
Mhm.
there for it. But for some reason, she's doing
Oh.
the narration and it switches. She goes, in Ohio, all we had was a lake. I can't even imagine what it was like near oceans.
Oh,
And
okay.
then it switches to like, I don't know, New York or something. And there's this huge tsunami. And I'm like, why? How are we seeing this? This isn't your point of view.
Yeah.
So so the scene is just like I guess showing off the special effects of like, oh, we can make it look like there's a tsunami in the city. And
That's
then
great.
there's this really weird part where people like a crowd of people are running into a building to try and escape the wave um, of water. And there's just this lady standing, she's in the building and she's facing the doorway and all these people are running towards her and just like separating around her because you know that's how crowds work. They just go around people that are standing still.
Yeah, totally. All the time.
And then as the water crashes, it just like crashes into her. And I'm like, what was the point of that scene?
Yeah.
So the scene is at, I think it's like a football field or something, but they set up like a makeshift hospital type thing that's outdoors for some reason. And there's a bunch of people in like body bags. Oh, it's so bad. Everyone's dying.
Oh,
And Cassie
tragic.
walks into one of the tents her mom was working, and her best friend from high school is like behind one of those like metal gates that they have at concerts that's like 4 feet tall.
Okay.
And I don't even know what her best friend's name is, but she's like, oh my gosh, how are you doing? And then her mom walks up and she's like, no, stay away. She's quarantined. Which I'm like, what a terrible way to quarantine someone by putting them behind a 4-foot gate.
Very inefficient.
She doesn't have on a face mask or anything. And then she's like, no, Mom, I'll be fine. Which, this is also interesting. She said that she assumed everyone in the room was dead. Her friend was in that room, and she knew that she wasn't dead,
Yeah.
apparently.
Oh.
Because she went to go visit her
Huh.
in quarantine.
Weird.
So, her mom freaks out and is like, you gotta get out of here. I don't want you to get sick. She, like, puts a face mask on her. She's like, no, Mom, I want to stay here and help. And her mom's like, no, go home. So she goes home. And then the voiceover says, some were immune to the virus, which is like a weird detail to add at this point, I guess.
Just throw it
But
in.
I guess her mom wasn't, because the next scene is them standing at a grave.
Oh. Dead mom alert.
Her dad is still alive, though. So
Ew.
this is a weird scene, too, because they're like putting flowers on the grave. And the dad hugs Cassie, but doesn't hug the little brother, who is like much younger and
Aw.
probably like taking it pretty hard, right? And so he
Yeah.
hugs Cassie, and then the little brother is just like kind of standing there and then just walks over and hugs them both. Like, wow, that was good parenting.
Totally.
All right, scene change again. Cassie is packing stuff in her backpack, including she picks up her phone, looks at the blank screen. I don't know what the timeline of this is, like how long it's been since her phone hasn't been working.
Oh yeah.
But she just sticks it in her backpack. I'm like, well, why? You don't have anyone to call. Who are you gonna call?
Oh yeah, that's true.
So the family is leaving. This is weird too. You might have. They're leaving the house, and the dad picks up Sam, the little brother, and carries him through the door. But then in the next scene, the kid is just walking next to his dad anyway. And why don't you just carry him through the door?
Yeah.
I think the kids might have asked, like, oh, why are they doing this? And the dad's just like, the others need the earth. But that's it. Like,
No.
he doesn't say why he thinks that. Or why they need the earth. That's it.
Wow, okay.
So, I guess they're walking to, like, a camp or a compound in the middle of the woods, which I don't know how they know it's there or how they found their way there. But there's a bunch of people just doing stuff there in tents and stuff. And the leader, I guess, comes out and greets them. And the dad's like, oh, how you got a pretty good setup going on here. How many people do you have? And he's like, oh, about 305 last time we checked. Which, that's like a lot of people.
Yeah.
But sure. He's like, the farm's over there. I guess they're growing their own food. That's kind of cool. And then the scene changes to, like, that night. And Cassie's dad just gives her a gun and gives her, like, a quick rundown on how to use it. Like, oh, this is how you unload the clip, and this is where the safety is, and only use it if it's the last resort.
Oh.
And then she's like, "Oh, I thought we were safe here." And he says, "There's nothing safe anymore."
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then it's the next day.
I guess that would have made sense to me if he like gave her the gun and it's like, remember when we used to go shooting with your grandpappy or something? I don't know. Like just something so it's not like, okay, she learned how to shoot a gun in like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Because if it's the end of the world and someone gives me a gun, that's
Yeah.
I have no nothing.
I do appreciate, I guess this is like an American thing specifically, that he just had a gun. Because, like,
Yeah.
I would, well,
Yeah.
I might, if if the apocalypse happened like tomorrow, but
Yeah.
like, weird. All right, so the next day, the kids are messing around in like the farm or whatever. There's like grapes and cabbage and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they hear a rumbling, and the entire camp just goes to like the front entrance of the camp. They don't know what it is, but they're all just standing there, like ready to be exterminated all at once, I guess. Um, and they're not like the adults that have guns aren't like pointing their guns up or anything. They're just like, oh, I wonder what's going on in this alien invasion. I wonder what this could be. And there's a huge dust cloud, and then through the dust come a bunch of like army vehicles and jeeps and a school bus. Um, and then Cassie's immediately like, "Oh, I thought the cars didn't work. What's going on?" Don't worry, because it's the United States Army.
Oh.
Yeah. And they don't
Oh yeah. How
explain.
did they? Wait. Okay. Wait. I'm sorry. Did I miss something?
Yes.
I know technology's out.
Hmm.
Cars are out.
Cars are out.
Okay. Whoa.
Cars and all
How
vehicles.
did they steal the world's gas?
No, they sent an electromagnetic pulse through the earth, and now nothing works. Now no machines work.
I mean, but but cars run on gas, right?
Yes. Yes.
Unless you have an.
Combustion engines don't work anymore because of the electromagnetic pulse.
Oh, I mean, I don't know any science stuff, so I guess that's fine. I don't even
That's the
know.
explanation. So,
Okay, I my bad.
so the colonel steps out and is like, "Oh, we're with the United States Army. We're gonna get you folks out of here. But first, I need all the kids to get on the school bus. Not creepy at all. Just get on the bus. And the adults need to go to the mess hall for debriefing." And so the kids go to the bus. They said that they're putting them on the bus to transport them to like the army base where it's safe. Um, and they don't have enough room for everyone all at the same time, obviously, because there's 300 people. So they're gonna get the kids out first and then come back for the adults. And Cassie's family is like, um, the dad is like, "I'm not going anywhere without my kids," and they're like, "I mean, we'll come right back, but it's your choice, I guess." Which to me implied that he could have gotten on the bus with them, but I guess he took it to mean they had to stay there with him. So he was like, "Just get on the bus. I'll meet you. I'll see you soon."
Hmm.
And they're like, "Okay." Um so they take all the adults to the mess hall, and they're like, "Oh, hold on. First, the reason he chooses to let them go um
The
is the
dad.
colonel like kind of, yeah, the colonel kind of like leans in and whispers that they have intel that there's an imminent threat to the location, which I don't know why he's just telling this random guy this, but so they need to get the
Yeah.
kids out first. So the dad's like, I'll be there before you know it, which you know what that means.
He's not gonna make
Yeah.
it. I mean, honestly, you shouldn't be allowed to tell your kid that you'll see them again.
I mean, in a post apocalyptic situation, I don't know why you would.
Yeah, that's true
Um,
too. That just makes sense.
so they get on the bus, and then Sam is like, "Oh no, bear! I don't have bear!" And he's like freaking out, and Cassie's like, "Whoa, hold on, calm down. What are you talking about?" Which, if your little brother said that, what do you think he's talking about? Um, so he's like, "I can't leave without my teddy bear. I dropped him. How? I don't know, because it's not like you were running or anything. You just walked onto the bus." Um, so she's like, "Okay, I'll go and find it." And as soon as she picks the teddy bear up off the ground, which he left on the ground for some reason, um, the bus engine starts. She's like, "Oh no!" So she picks up the bear, is like running after the bus, which I don't know why her brother wasn't like, "Wait, my sister's not here," to the bus driver, but instead he just
Yeah.
runs to the back of the bus and is like, "Cassie!" And still the bus driver isn't slowing down or anything, even though there's like a child yelling.
This
Um,
kid, he does like everything wrong. Like, okay, starting from the beginning, she tucks him into bed or whatever, sings him that weird sad song, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, that seems legit. I'll have sweet dreams." Runs head first into alien danger, drops his bear for no reason. His dad had to carry him out the door for no
yeah,
reason. This kid,
this kid.
wow, this kid.
All right, so the bus leaves her. And she doesn't seem like too upset about it. I mean, she seems upset, but she's like, "At least I still have my dad." And she doesn't go into the mess hall and isn't like telling the adults, "Hey, I got left behind. Can I chill with you?" Instead, she like walks around the outside of the mess hall and is looking in through like a hole in the paneling. So the adults, um, the army is like, "We believe the fourth wave has begun," and the fourth wave is that they can inhabit humans and control them, so they look just like us, and we don't know who's an alien and who's not. Of course, because that's the only way to make this scary, I guess. Um, and they have intel that says they could be right here in this very camp right now, and that they can. It's easy to detect them in children, so that's why they took the children first because they're going to go screen them. But it's like more of a process, I guess, to screen them in adults. And then all of the adults start freaking out, and they're like, "Oh, I want to see my kids. You can't keep us from our kids. You think that those creeps are here?" And then they start rioting. Um, and they're like, "Well, as soon as we get you all screened, then you'll be free to go." And then they riot more because they're like, "How dare you think that I could be an alien? I'm not going to let you screen me." And then they pull out guns, and then there's gunshots.
So, Army comes. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Okay, kids, we're gonna take you someplace safe. Parents, don't worry about it. Leave your families behind and go to the mess hall.
Yep.
Okay, aliens are taking over brains, so we're gonna kill you guys." Okay, one question, and I know this is silly to ask. But how do they know what the waves are? Like,
Yeah, that's what I
how do
mean.
they
I'm
know
like,
that the fourth wave has begun?
who's establishing this, and how are they spreading the word about this?
Yeah.
And how does the army know that they're inhabiting human hosts? It's all there's so many plot holes in this movie.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is it just doesn't make sense.
No. Not at all.
Um, so of course Cassie is watching the whole thing from outside. Um, and then there's like this weird random slow motion scene where she's running away because the gunshots happen, and then it's like, oh, it's like a massacre. She doesn't want to see that 'cause she's like a teenager, and that's horrifying. So she runs away into the woods, but for some reason it's just randomly slow motion, and she's just running dramatically. And it's not like she's being chased. It's not like there's an explosion. It's just random slow motion, and it's never slow mo is never used again in the movie, but except for maybe at the very end. But
Does her like face look particularly pained that we needed
I
to
mean, she
see
looks
like the blow by
sad, I
blow?
guess, but no.
Okay.
It's just
Yeah.
dramatic for no reason. So then an army man emerges from the mess hall, and there's like this weird, ominous pan down to the teddy bear that's still on the ground.
Okay.
And then the army people all leave. It just shows the cars leaving. So then Cassie goes back to the mess hall. And what does she find? Any
Uh
guesses?
I okay. Oof. I want to say Alien or Love of Her Life.
No, everyone is
Ah.
dead.
Oh, okay. I was
All of
think.
the adults that were in there are dead.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which I
I
don't know
was
how
in.
that I don't know how that worked because they far outnumbered the soldiers.
You know, some people just are like, you know what? My time is up. No fight, no
They just lay
resistance.
down.
Yeah. They just get into position. But, okay.
So she takes an M16 that was just laying there, I guess, and runs into the woods. And then there's this weird scene of like her hyperventilating and crying, and I hate it so much. It's just bad. And then there's like a sharp cut to black, like that was supposed to be really dramatic. But
Oh, of course.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then the scene changes, and we're in the military base, and all these school buses are arriving there. And as the kids get off the bus, they get a dog tag with a number on it, and their instructions are stand on the red dot until your number is called.
Oh, how many are there?
A bunch. I guess you're supposed to assume that they're coming from other locations, not just that one camp.
I just always hate that stuff just because, like, I mean, life or death situation, I guess maybe I wouldn't care. But, like, just the idea of waiting that long sounds awful.
Yeah. I mean, you probably would still care, especially like being a kid, because it shows it's not just like, oh, it's a bunch of teenagers. It shows the age range, and it's like young kids through teenagers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. That's the worst. Oh, well, I mean, okay.
So they're doing like a roll call and like having all the kids come up one by one. Um, and oh, surprise, surprise, the first actual person we see getting their number called is Cassie's crush.
Oh, yay. Okay. So I was
Yeah.
real quick on the draw,
Yes.
but I knew he was coming.
So
So.
this is the other point of view we get. So it switches between the crushes, Ben is his name, Ben's point of view and Cassie's point of view.
Oh, I was thinking it'd be like an alien
No,
or a soldier.
no.
Okay, well,
Nope.
oh man,
And both of the POVs are really boring, but Ben's is just like slightly more boring.
like, what is he talking about? Do
It's
either of
just
them ever talk about like their feelings, or is it just like
no.
this
Uh,
happened?
yeah. The okay. We'll get there.
Okay.
Um So he's like getting a physical from like an army nurse, um, and she's like this hardened soldier, and she's all harsh and stuff. And he says that they called him zombie in quarantine. And she's like, "Oh, do you have any family not known to be dead?" And he's like, "No, all of them are dead." And then he's like, or she says, "Oh, did the bird flu get all of them?" And he said, "Yeah." And then she says, "But not you. That's why they called you zombie, isn't it?" Like, thanks for explaining that. I didn't understand what that meant, but thanks for just laying it out there for me. I'm so dumb. Um, so yeah, that's the other thing. Is like they kind of try to shoehorn in this like, oh, you should feel bad for him because he lost his sister, but they
Her
mention it
whole
so
family?
little. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't even talk about it ever. He's not like, oh, I miss my sister so much. It was just like that one scene in the very beginning where he's like, oh, I dropped my sister off at his slumber party. So that established that he had a sister. And then the nurse is being super creepy and grabs a locket around his neck and is like, is this your sister's? And he's like, yeah, yeah, it's my sister's. Like, I don't know. I'm like, it's like so removed from human emotion.
Yeah, it's also
You
weird.
know?
Like, I mean, it's also kind of just not a big deal. Because, like, they didn't. If they started off the beginning, like, almost like made it, like, kind of like they were trying to find each other.
Yeah,
Like, or
exactly.
something. So, like, we see what she's going through, we see what he's going through, and, like, they both sort of lost something. But, like, she lost her whole family, pretty much.
Yeah.
And, like, we don't even know where she is. She's just among a bunch of corpses. And he's like, but my sister. But it's like, neither you and your sister weren't very bright because you just lost your phone and you
Yeah,
just let
exactly.
that happen. Like, that's what I know about you. That you're like that weird that you would just take your sister's phone and continue on.
He also, like, even in the party scene where nothing had happened yet, where it wasn't the end of the world yet, he has such a flat affect. It's like, he just seems like he doesn't care about anything. He doesn't even seem sad. It's just like, it's so strange. Just monotone delivery of all of his lines. Um, so the army nurse explains that they're basically indoctrinating kids to be soldiers. She implants a chip in his neck, and she says, "This will help you track the others." So
Uh,
that's what that was for, I guess. She doesn't explain why they're using kids as soldiers. Um,
oh.
because it's just kids. She's like, we need you to help fight the others. Don't you want to get revenge for your sister?
So was I
Uh,
mean, because they kind of said that whole thing like we can find if it's in you, but not if it's in adults or something.
yeah,
But then like the soldiers are adults, so
yeah.
like, what
Well,
make are the U.S. Army like the others were like, oh no, we're cool with you, military.
I
You're
think
safe.
they can detect them in adults. It's just harder for them to
Oh,
than in
okay.
kids. So I don't know what kind of exam room this is because it has like a two-way mirror where there's just like this kid sitting in a like strapped to a chair and he's like passed out. So they're looking at this and she's like, "Do you want to see one?" Um, and it just looks like this kid and she's like, "I know it just looks like another human boy, but we have technology that lets us see inside of them." And so she basically just puts like x-ray goggles over his eyes and the others are basically just like brain huggers. But the funny part about this scene is
Mm-hmm.
that the way it was just such poor design for the aliens because it's attached to the person's brain, but so much so that it takes up so much room in the skull that there just would not be enough room in a human skull for how big the alien was. I don't know. It's hard to explain without seeing it, but it was just like a really poor design
Oh.
in terms of size and human anatomy.
Yeah. No, I kind of like picture like basically the alien was big enough that if it was like in a human's brain, it's like taking up like the skull too,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
and
Like it
stuff
would
like
be
that.
like halfway down your skull if it were, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I get you.
Um
Yeah, that's weird.
so then the nurse is like the only way to destroy the other is to destroy the host. She like tries to justify it like, "Oh, even if we remove the alien, the human is brain dead or something. I don't know." But she's like, "So just destroy the host to destroy the other."
I
And then
mean,
she kills it somehow.
people are always trashing Venom, but like I saw it, I didn't mind it. But one thing I will say, they kind of like summed it up in like one sentence. They're like, "Yeah, these aliens need a host, otherwise they die. We just saw it like die." I don't think you need like this whole orientation thing. Like, I don't know.
Well, they have to assume that their audience is just so dumb. So they
That's
have to just really lay it out there,
They really do. That's like another
right?
thing. Like teen movie, they. I think that's also why they have like the actors, like whether it's a good actor or not. Because like Chloe Grace Moretz is like actually like really talented and has been like in
Yeah.
other stuff. But like the directors are like, well, this is for teens. So if you want to sound serious, you need to sound bored. If there's any emotion, like it
It'll just be way
automatic
too confusing.
now it's a decom.
All right, so the scene changes. We're back to Cassie. Well, we're in Cassie's point of view, but all it is her narrating while she's writing in a journal, which we haven't seen before this scene, so that's kind of weird. Uh,
Alien
so she,
Diaries.
yeah, um, she is just like, how do you exterminate a species? Which, like, this kind of thing, I feel like young adult movies do. Like, it's an easier way for them to pull directly from the book, um,
Yeah.
without it being like clanky. Even though the way they did it in this movie was really clanky and awkward because we never saw the journal, and
Yeah.
she never really does this kind of thing again. Um, so she's writing in a journal, and she's like, "How do you exterminate a species? You take out the easy ones first, the weak ones. That's what the first three waves did. But even if you bug bomb a house, there's still some cockroaches left." And then she's like, "How do you rid the world of humans? First, you rid the humans of their humanity." Like, I feel like they're like, "Oh man, that line in that book, so good. We have to put that in the movie. But how do we do it?"
But you know what's really sad is I'm hearing you say that. They could have just had her say that over the first couple waves.
Right?
you could have
Like, it
spread
could
it
have been a
out.
montage, and she could have
Yeah.
just had that monologue, and it would have
Yeah.
cut, it would have cut
Like
like half an hour out of the movie.
yeah. How long is the movie actually?
I don't know, it's long, and it drags
Oh.
on. And I
Ugh.
thought it would have been easier to watch. You know how some movies get better the second time you watch them? Even
Mhm.
if you weren't on board really, you're like, "All right, that was a little bit better."
Yeah.
Seeing it a second time. This movie was so much worse the second time.
Yeah, especially like with movies that drag on, I feel like it's like the first time you watch it, it's like, okay, that took forever. But then you think, okay, well, I know what's going to happen, so I know what's just around the corner. But then you forget all the little things that are totally forgettable and you didn't remember. So it's like now the movie's like three times as long.
Yeah. So this movie is an hour and 57 minutes, which is
Oh,
so long
God. Like,
for this kind of movie.
teen movies are legally not allowed to be longer than an hour and 35 minutes.
It's a hard and fast rule.
Yeah.
So she puts her journal away and starts walking, and I guess she's walking to the military base to find her brother, which she somehow knows how to get to without a map or GPS.
Oh.
Um,
When
because she's like whatever Fort whatever, I don't even know the name of the
oh,
military base. It's 80
well,
miles from here, and I'm like, how do you know that?
maybe, and maybe when she saw all the dead bodies and like her dad stuff, did one of the soldiers leave behind like a map that she picked up and was like,
No.
this is where they're taking? Okay, well, I don't know why I keep
Well, it's
trying to
I
make
mean,
sense of this world.
she knows where he was taken because the soldier said that's where we're taking them. So she knows where, like the name of it. I just don't know how she know because she specifically says that it's 80 miles from her location, which I don't know how you would know that. And like we have an Air Force base here, but if I was in because 80 miles, that's a lot. If I was in a different city, because it's in the city I live in, if I was in a different city, I wouldn't be like, oh, Kirtland Air Force Base, that's 80 miles from here. I would have no idea where it was.
Yeah. I'm just. Here's something I just realized I didn't ask. We talked about there's no technology, there's no cars or whatever, but like. They took a bus to the base.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that was mentioned was Cassie going, I thought the cars didn't work, and that was it. So we just, oh, and then we do get this line, like this cute little line between her and her dad where she's like, if they have cars working, do you think they have electricity? And she says, he said something about her phone, like, oh, why? You think you're going to use your phone? And she's like, yeah. And then he's like, do you even have the charger? And she says, yes. Which I'm like, you brought your phone and the charger? Why? This is a
Honest,
post-apocalyptic situation where there's no electricity. Why are you holding out hope for that? And even if you do get it up, like you think you're gonna have service? What's
Candy
the point?
Crush. Candy
Ugh,
Crush.
teenagers and their phones. I guess that's what the
That's why
movie was
people
getting
get
at.
tagged. Hey everybody, so this is Sax, and I just wanted to let you guys know that we started talking about this movie and it got really long, a lot longer than we planned. So I'm gonna break it up into parts and we'll see where they all go. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Okay, bye.